This is News 24 Live. I'm Erin Bates, and I'm very pleased to welcome into studio today Rosemary Mosia, who's the CEO and founder of Bridge of Hope Wines. And the wine industry is notorious for being an old boys club, lots of established wine farms that go back generations. What's it like for someone like you who has a business background sort of entering the wine market and becoming a big player?
Hi, my name is Rosemary Mosia. Thank you very much for inviting me here. Wine, you are right when you say it's mainly dominated by men and all that. But I think the world, not only South Africa, is trying to realize that. They've just realized it, and they're changing now, and to an extent that women are being accepted into these industries. Yes, it is very tough, but the space is being created for us.
And you've just come back from a trip overseas. How did that happen?
That was actually very interesting because I just came back from a wine expo called Vin Italy in Italy, Verona. And there I was actually invited by women in wine. I attended several wine tasting of that is actually the wine that is produced by women, both the winemaker and also the viticulture as women. So I was invited there, and that was very interesting. You just see women, everything is done by women from the beginning up to the end.
So from the vine upwards into the bottle, it's all done by women.
Yes.
That's interesting. How is it that you found yourself in the sector? I know that you did some business management studies in the Cape. What's the story? How did it all come about?
I used to work for Transnet Housing as an executive, and in that I decided to do an MBA. A friend of mine actually pulled me into doing MBA, and my paper, when I was doing my fourth year, my last year, my paper was on small business. You know, I just wanted to find out why small business are not taking time, why after 3 years they die, and what are the challenges. And so one of the group that I actually did my research on was on farmers. And that's what took me to the wine estate, by the way, because then I would go in and look at the farmers and see how these farmers are working. And even though my paper was on small business, I also ended up interviewing the small business, because I actually categorized my research group into three groups: small business, big business, and the government, to see how can they create a platform for small business, how can they give them a space or support so that small business grow. But then the other thing actually that brought me into wine, but since then, after my paper, then I started reading more about wine. But when Transnet relocated me to move me to Cape Town, I had lots of friends who wanted me to take them to the wine farm.
Okay.
From Soweto, you go to the wine farm, is like a complete world. So, and then I said to them, I don't drink wine. So they said, no, come, and then you'll just watch us. So, and you know, the way they were appreciating the wine, the things they were saying about the wine, the way they were holding the bottle, the glasses and all that, that actually created an interest in me. But what I said to myself, that, you know what, not only I may enjoy wine, but I think I want to have a business in this industry.
Wow.
Yes, I think that was when I made a decision that I want to be involved in wine. Then I started researching, I started involving a number of wine magazines, and almost every week we were going to wine estates, different wine estates, and then reading. And also when, obviously I took time, unfortunately, to drink wine, but I was asking myself a number of questions. They would pour the wine and smell, and like, what is it that they're
What am I
smelling?
smelling? What notes are in here?
I would not even find even a single thing. And then there's, no, listen. Until one guy who said to me, you know what, when you go to a supermarket, try and walk along the shelf. If it's spices, try and stand there and breathe. You know, just inhale and exhale, and then you'll be able to learn this type of spices and all that. And I did that.
Yeah.
And then with reading EMI.
So you really applied your research on the ground, going to all of these different wine farms, interviewing people, learning about wine tasting. What did you notice or learn about the sector the wine industry, the way that it works, big players like Distel, for example, how they interact with the international market?
I think there are a number of lessons actually that I've learned in this sector. But one of maybe the softer part of learning is that wine is not seasonal. Wine, people will drink it even whether there's a funeral or there's no funeral. They are happy, they are sad. So it's a business that will always be growing. And also I've also learned that you know, as much as there's this big business, there's always a space for everyone. You know, nothing would stop anyone to venture into a business that is full of either men or a number of people. There's always space. Yes, there are big businesses, but when you look at the way these big businesses are preparing themselves to help small business through enterprise development, and I learned that, you know, I can go to them and say, here am I, help me. And it's true, I'm working, I've got a partnership with one of the big firms, and they are helping me.
Wow, so,
yes.
So you were welcomed into the sector?
Yes, I was, definitely I was. Maybe the way I
maybe you were lucky.
Maybe through my negotiations, and I made it possible, you know, to enter the industry. It was not easy because there's a number of compliance that you must follow, and I did that. And what was nice is that you know, before I left Transnet, I did serious background, serious research. So by the time I started to be involved in the industry, it was not that hard. And also my business background also helped me a lot.
Yes.